Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Veasey. Welcome to Mike's Alternate Reality Show. Got a great show for you tonight. We'll be meeting comedienne Laura Bolivar later on. But first, I'm going to continue my conversation with sound artist, composer Mary Edwards, who will be presenting a short film that includes her work. Mary, thank you for...
Great to be back.
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
So you went to you're a sound artist.
Yes.
And a composer. And a bunch of other stuff, but let's focus on that.
Sure.
And you got to go on a trip to the Arctic Circle.
Yes.
Which, to be clear, is the North Pole. You flew to Norway and then flew north of Norway, wound up close to the North Pole.
Yes, in the northernmost habitable, as humanly possible, point on the planet called Svalbard.
What was that like? I mean, first of all, was it daylight or dark 24 hours a day?
Because I went in the deep part of winter, the polar night was starting to set in. So daily, the days would get shorter. And so what ended up happening was probably about 4 or 5 days within setting sail. I think we had 2 hours of daylight. And when I say daylight, I mean it looked like the rainiest day in Seattle.
Wow.
So it was pretty, the sky was pretty dank looking. And so to be out to do any kind of exploration, in my case, sound exploration, there were other artists on the boat, were also writers, a few other composers, architects, believe it or not, scientists of many facets. And we were all doing individual work in and around the Arctic and mostly about climate change. And so we had to just be mindful of polar bears. And we had with us, thankfully, a few Arctic guides who carried rifles, not to harm the polar bears, but to set off a warning shot. So we had armed guards basically accompanying us every landing that we made, which was almost daily.
So you're on a ship traveling around the Arctic Circle, and you'd get off every day and explore some islands, some frozen islands?
Yes, it's going into different fjords in and around Svalbard.
Fjords.
Yeah, so Svalbard is think of Staten Island.
Okay.
And think of a bunch of inlets. Mm-hmm. And we sailed around, as far as we could go, depending on the current. The direction had a lot to do with the weather changing
Right.
that time of the year. I mean, we were sort of pushed into late October, early November. So between the darkness and the intrepid waters and the ice starting to form all over again. Because, it stays pretty much cold all year, but colder than most. I mean,
yeah.
If you take your gloves off for more than 45 seconds, you're in for a bit of stinging on the fingertips. So that's how cold it was. And you
were there for how long?
About almost a month,
Wow.
close to a month, on this barkentine that is not that big. It's, I want to say a couple 100 feet long, wooden, built in 1957.
Wait, you were on a wooden ship?
It was on a wooden ship. So it was a barkentine, 3-sail mast.
Wow.
And we literally,
You were working the sails?
Working the sails and, close quarters, kind of tight, but just enough room to get things done. The food was magnificent.
Really?
There's this myth about, that's why I call this piece Everywhere We Are is the Farthest Place, not because of the food, but because of the, this illusion about distance, and that there's this misconception that why are you going all the way up to the Arctic? What are you doing up there? Aren't you going to freeze? I'm like, no, I froze last week in, New Jersey. It was, 23 below in, Parsippany or wherever. But you can go to the Arctic and pretty much in this town called Longyearbyen, which is one of the main settlements, because it's mostly a scientific community up there. It's a lot of, glacial and Arctic geologists who reside up there. And there's a whole, host of people, not a lot, but people who live up there full time and work, and everything is quite modern. I mean, their internet is better than ours. We worry about the carbon footprint in going there, but when you're there, you realize they're shipping in their food every day. They're running the internet every day. They're running heat every day on this smallish island. So they're sort of contributing to the changes,
That
but
they're
they're
trying to
also
study, yeah.
right, but that they're trying to study, and at the same time, they're very protective of the land. So there's a lot that you can't do when you're up there, which is it's almost illegal for you to like walk around on your own past the city limits, because chances are you will get consumed by a bear or accosted by a bear. Or,
Wow.
yeah.
I've got, you know what? You've piqued my curiosity. I want to see this film. Let's take a look at this short film, and we'll be right back after.
Since we're all having the same issue with our hydrophones, trying to get that sound. I'm going 30 feet deep. Throughout 2023, Everywhere We Are is the Farthest Place has been performed and installed in several iterations at Spitsbergen Artist Gallery, Svalbard, Open Source Gallery, Brooklyn, Epsilon Spires, Vermont, and the Beyond Listening International Symposium on Sonic Ecologies, Budapest, Hungary. Drawing partly on sound as a vibrational phenomenon and space analogs, this immersive compositional soundscape with cinematic audio is an ode rather than an elegy to the transforming Arctic landscape, climate vulnerability, elemental sensuality, and the terrestrial space connectivity. I began this project in autumn of 2022 while sailing on an artist and science research expedition above the 78th parallel to Svalbard, halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole, where I made field recordings to listen to the rhythm and breath of our planet from another pulse point. I documented sound properties of glacial geology and oceanographic data through sonification with geophones, hydrophones, and contact microphones, recording the distinct groans and reverberant calving of ice tumbling from the sublime glacier walls into the depths of the fjords, the movement of the subterranean rivers, beluga whale song and vocal intonations intended to provide access to all by decentralizing the centered and unearthing the others.
Wow. Okay. Mary, that just looks like an amazing adventure.
It really was. And to be able to bring it back to my studio and develop it as a fully sonic project was almost as exhilarating as being up there. What I was really taken with was this past year, how many places I was able to bring this piece to. It really started off as this idea that I would create a composition and perform it with a small ensemble, or take some of the pieces and perform them solo. And because it's a work in development and some of the pieces are still being written as we speak, and my goal is for 2024 to have it fully composed, completed. But in the process of getting there, I've been invited into gallery spaces to do sound installations. I've been invited into performance centers to do it as a full-blown performance. So it's kind of broken open.
Wow.
In a sense that, like the last time I performed it, it was really physical. I did it at this place up in Vermont called Epsil Inspires. And it was in partnership with a residency that I did nearby called Institute Polyculture Commons, which is in beautiful Brattleboro, Vermont.
Brattleboro.
Yeah.
I've been there.
And I did this in the fall. I did this in September. And what was really cool about it was Epsil Inspires is a former church. And so a lot of what was there remains. So all the accoutrement, the pews. It looks like, it feels like, and sounds like a small opera house. The resonance is so rich, and I got to play with a lot to sort of, I was inspired by the landscape when I was up there. So I got to play with a lot in this former church, like the baptismal font became the fjord.
Oh, wow.
I did one piece that was based on a true story about a friend and colleague of mine who almost got killed by, the Calvin Glacier dropped into the fjord and was making its way towards our shore. She almost got crushed to death.
What was she doing?
She's also a sound person, and she was so intently focused on capturing the sound from one direction. So she had her blimp and she had it aimed toward another glacier. And meanwhile, this huge chunk was coming towards us, and I'm like, "Get out, get up!" She was, on. It was really intense. But her equipment captured not only the sound of the Calvin Glacier and all the waves, but the ship that was, that we're on, that's way out. We take these small dinghies called Zodiac boats, because the land is so fragile, you can't anchor onto the fjord.
Okay, yeah.
So we have to get out onto these boats, sail out to our landing, and do our work there. And you could hear the radioing in from the ship, like, "Get her out! She's an emergency, emergency!" She's completely oblivious to this, and you could hear it relaying onto one of the Arctic Guide's radios.
Right.
So there's all this intensity and all this intrigue. So I recreated that for a piece called Roar. It's one of 7 pieces for this work that I did called Everywhere We Are is the Farthest Place. So when I was inside of Epsil Inspires,
in Vermont,
the former church, for Roar, at the beginning, I ran up 3 flights of stairs and grabbed onto the rope that activated the church bell.
And the bell's still there?
And the bell's still there. So I have some footage. There's like a tiny piece of footage that the viewers will see in the film that you
we just saw. Yeah.
That that was me ringing the church bell.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
So everywhere I take this piece, it sort of shows up in a different form. But for 2024, I'd like to focus on it being a composition in which it's a full listening experience and maybe a little less physical.
Wow.
Even though I won't eschew the opportunity to run up 3 flights of stairs if I have to, or swing from a rope.
Well, Mary, it's been a delight talking to you and seeing your
Wow,
work and
thanks.
hearing your work and getting back together with you.
Yeah,
Reconnecting after all these years.
After many years, little did you know that 3 houses away from you, I was pouring through National Geographics in 1980 saying, I want to go to the Arctic. So that's where it all started for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks.
We'll have you on again. You certainly have a lot to present.
I appreciate it.
And continued success with everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. My next guest is a very funny comedian who's based here in Staten Island. Let's take a look at the comedy of Laura Bolivar.
When I moved to New York, my friend, he wanted me to learn English, right? And he was like, you have to choose a role model, someone to copy the perfect pronunciation from. And I picked Sofia Vergara.
Hi, everyone. We're back with Mike's alternate reality show. And that clip was the very funny comedian who I have sitting next to me now. Please meet Laura Bolivar. Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you are from Venezuela.
I am from Venezuela, yes. Have you been there?
I have not, but I have cousins that are half Venezuelan.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, so I wish I had gone, when we were younger.
I mean, it's such a beautiful country. Like, I miss it every day because it's warm every month in my country.
Oh, yeah?
So if there is something that I'm not used to it here in New York, it's the winter.
I know, and it's whenever somebody says that, I'm like, we don't have winter anymore. Like, this is nothing.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
No, like my country, like winter will be like it's raining more than other months, but it's not cold,
Not
it's
cold,
Like, no. Here is like, I'm freezing today. Like,
Today?
And we are like, what, in 40 degrees?
Yeah,
Yes.
45, 50 degrees.
Exactly.
It used to be, around Thanksgiving, it would get to be 20 degrees, and it would stay 20 degrees till Easter.
Oh.
And we'd have snow all the time.
No, I can't. And you know what is upset me? Like, my birthday is in March.
That's mine.
So, which day?
The 20th.
Oh, I'm the 7th.
Okay.
So, like, I would love to party, like going out to the beach or something outdoor, and I cannot do it here.
No, you
It's
can't.
like,
Not on March 7th,
It's like, no. But like 2 years ago, we were like in 60 degrees. It was amazing.
It felt like summer, yeah.
Yes, it was like summer. Now that I'm here for 7 months, like 60 degrees is like summer for me.
Wow. So how did you get started in stand-up comedy?
Well, it's funny because I was looking to get my English better. Like, I wanted to learn more English. So I said, okay, let me take like acting classes.
Okay.
But they were so expensive for me back then, So
Sure.
like comedy writing classes were way cheaper. So,
Oh, wow.
so I was like, let me try this for 3 months and just to have fun because I was doing acting and I was part of the entertainment industry in my country, but I wasn't doing like a stand-up, And I was used to being in the stage with with the other actors, but not by myself. So I took these classes just to, get my English better. And after 3 months, every Sunday, you have to write 5 new...
5 minutes,
Yes,
yeah.
5 minutes. And memorize them. Like, you have to say it perfectly. And I was, like, so scared because, oh, my God, they won't be able not to... I don't know if this is funny. I just want to make sure they want to be able to understand me,
Sure.
So I just was having fun. And after the graduation show... the teacher comes to me and he said, you did it great, and I want you to come for the next graduation show without taking the classes. Just come as a spot guest.
Wow. You must have done really well because...
Yes, and he loved it. And I don't know, it's the first time that I saw myself like performing with that, like being that confident in another language,
Sure.
and being funny because they were laughing. Well, I don't know if they were laughing,
laughing.
At the jokes or what I was saying, like the way I was saying it. But I loved it, and that was like, what, 7 years ago?
7? You've been doing stand-up for 7 years.
Yes, and I started in English. Like, I never took classes in Spanish for comedy writing.
Right.
So after that, maybe after 2 years, I saw other comedians from Latin America that they came to New York. They were doing their shows. And a restaurant owner, he was a friend of mine, he told me, you know what, this comedian is coming from Venezuela. Why you don't open the show for him?
Oh, nice.
And I was like, but I don't have any Spanish material, like, what? But you have an English, like, set, just translate it. I did it. It wasn't the best idea, but it was a good start because not all the jokes work in two language.
That's fascinating.
Yes, but at least, I try it, and let's see, like 70% of the jokes works, and then I just start writing in Spanish. If I want to perform in Spanish, I start writing and concentrate in that language, and then I just jump to English if I have.
So now you're doing stand-up comedy in English and in Spanish.
Yes, yeah.
Very cool. That's two different markets.
It's two different markets, and sometimes I feel more confident in English because I think I have like a character. It's like, oh, she's funny, like the accent. I don't care if they laugh for something that I mispronounce because at the beginning I always say everything as the way I write it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to talk to the public, to the audience. Mm-hmm. I was so focused on the way I write the joke. So because I didn't want to make mistakes when I say it.
With English.
Yes, with English. So then when I learned like how to have fun, like when I say something wrong and the audience were laughing with me, that's when I say, okay, I love the English jokes because like these people is having fun with me, Now in Spanish, it's like, I better be funny. It's like, it's like no,
okay.
You're not like, oh, she's the girl with the accent.
Yeah.
No, she's not the girl.
There's no free laughs in Spanish.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There is no, I mispronounced this. Haha. Like, no, like,
yeah.
like you better be funny. Like it's, I don't know. Maybe the cultural background also, I will say they're more open mind in the English culture. Like, or how do you say that? The Anglo culture, like.
Well, the English culture, I think it's fine,
English
but you can say
culture, yeah.
Anglo culture.
Anglo culture,
but
yeah. Some more fancy.
I think maybe you're thinking of the American culture.
Yeah, American culture.
What's
yeah.
funny in the United States might not be funny in England.
Yes, there has,
So,
yeah. And
but back up. You said you were in the entertainment industry in Venezuela.
Yes.
What were you doing there?
so many things. Like I graduated as a journalist when I was 21, and I work for one of the most important TV channels in my country. And it's funny because I did my internship there.
Okay.
And after the internship, they told me, okay, we want you to work with us, but is there any department like where you don't want to work at all? And I say, yes, news writing. I say, okay, well, but that's the we have
opening.
a spot. Yes. And I say, I take it.
Yeah.
You know, I was 21. I just wanted
Sure.
a job like in that TV channel. So I took it, and I had a lot of fun because that was the time where these social media, these all new apps came up, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Well, Facebook was already on the market, but like Twitter, Instagram, and I was posting for the news show that they have on those social platforms.
Okay, so you like the social media.
Yes, and I was writing for
Writer.
the website. Yes, I was everything that was on TV. I have to make a version for the website, also to make a post on Facebook or Twitter and Instagram. Or let's see, the president was doing like how do you say that? Like I don't know, like he was talking about something important.
Okay.
And I was just typing everything he was saying on Twitter. You know, like
Wow.
those things,
So you're transcribing.
yes, for
Transcribing
Twitter.
For Twitter.
And I worked like for 5 years with them.
Wow.
And at the same time, I was doing acting for South operas, telenovelas.
You were on soap operas in Venezuela?
Yes.
Wow, that's
And it's-
amazing.
yes,
I
and-
would love to be on a soap opera.
You know,
To me, that's like
it's funny.
because every day it's boom, new lines,
Yes.
boom. It's like there's no slowing down. You got to be there every day, and you got to memorize. You got to hit
Yes.
your mark. You got to.
Yeah, and it's funny because I grew up in a small town, right?
Uh-huh.
So I told Mom, I'm gonna be on national television, but don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. It's just like, I don't know for how many seconds I will be on. Just, I'm telling you so you can watch, my dad can watch, and I don't know, my siblings, but don't tell anyone. Basically, like, they went to the public park or something. Like, no, they rent a
They all got
TV.
together
They all were
they went to a
like,
drive-in.
watching my 2 seconds at national TV.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I guess they were so proud.
How could you not be proud? National television. That's amazing. So how many years were on the telenovela?
For that one's like
That's
an
it?
hour, yes.
Oh, all right.
No, I was good at casting auditions.
Audition.
Yes, so many auditions.
All right. Well, good for you. Have you tried acting here in New York?
I did for play theaters in Spanish.
For the
Play
stage.
theaters, yes, for the stage.
Okay. And how's that going?
It was great. Last August, I performed for play theater named Arepa Collision Project, which is arepa is like a traditional food for our country, which is breakfast. Arepa.
Okay.
So they say Colombians and Venezuelans, they always fight for that dish. Like they always claim it as their own. Like, oh, that's mine. I invented.
What is it called?
Arepa.
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 Arepa. Yes.
Arepa, yes. Okay.
Arepa.
All right.
So the play was like something. It was a comedy play about it. You know, we have so much fun. We did it in August, and we applied for a few festivals, and we're waiting the answer. So let's see if we made it.
Oh, I hope
for
you make
2024.
it.
Yes. Here.
Wow. And of course, you'll be doing more comedy.
Yes. Yes. I'm doing my first hour.
Hour?
In Spanish.
In
yes,
Spanish?
Yes.
Wow.
I have a few dates confirmed in these first 3 months, and New Jersey, Staten Island, and Astoria. So
Good for you.
Yes.
Well, Laura, it's been a joy getting to know you, and I love you. We've done a few shows together, and I always
that's
enjoy.
how we met.
Yeah, and I very much enjoy your material. And good luck with everything. Good luck with the hour.
Thank you. Yes, I'm getting ready because the first one is in, well, I don't know when this is going to be on, but it's going to be like from the day we're recording, it's going to be like I have already like 4 weeks more to be ready. Yes.
Coming up.
And I have to, like just, I have everything ready and the material, but it's just, I just want to, get to maybe to memorize it better so I
Sure.
can play more with the audience.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Laura.
Thank you. Gracias.
Find Laura Bolivar on all the social media platforms. I want to thank her for coming on to the show, and I want to thank Mary Edwards for coming here and sharing her art as well. And thank you for watching Mike's Alternate Reality Show. I'll see you next time. Good night.